I'm Nate, and together we are Crate.
We're just a married couple. We love watching the show Married at First Sight and reviewing, and we like the psychology of relationships.
Yeah, so we're going to do that today, and we're going to go over starting in episode 9 of season 18.
Yes, Chicago. Okay.
Chicago.
So
we're going to jump in with Juan and Karla.
Yeah.
So it starts off the day after, what happened?
The football
tournament.
Or game.
Whatever that was. Juan comes back to his place after having biked for 30 miles.
30 miles.
And then
he's not like his wife if he's biking for 30 miles. But anyway.
Because he comes home to her and she's just doing her yoga things, just chilling. And he's, so he just comes home after that. He knows that Karla likes to sleep all day. He points that out. And I just think that he's drawing a contrast between himself and her.
Right.
So then fast forward, later on we get another picture of them at lunch. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Karla talks more about her past with Juan. She says she comes from a big family of Mexican family of immigrants, but they lacked like conversations, like emotional conversations that were, I guess, deeper. They didn't really grow up saying like, I love you, or, they would just kind of go to anger instead of like expressing their feelings. And she learned through therapy that affection was a need for her. And she just doesn't want to fall into the same patterns of the past, which is why she's, just opening up to Juan and stating that she, wants that from him. I know that Juan grew up in Colombia, and because of just the political things over there, he ended up going to the States, and he was bragging how he became a model and, football player. And
football.
Yes. So he again asked her to be patient with him because the affection takes a long time to come. And so then we go into Dr. Pia, and they meet at a coffee shop. They meet with Dr. Pia at a coffee shop, and when she asks about the relationship, she's like, or Karla's like, it's going, and Juan's like, good. And it was like, oh, it's going and it's good. So there seems to be a difference, like what is, that sort of disconnect. And
there is a little bit of space between them on the couch when they're talking to Dr. Pia.
Yeah, there is.
And it just seems like this caught us by surprise because we thought their chemistry was obvious, but only to come to find out that that's not as strong as it seemed, at least from Juan's side. And Karla doesn't hold back from reminding him. She kind of reminds him gently, but she keeps bringing it up. And then I think she's taking the tactic to describe her past, maybe to just communicate who she is and all this stuff, and just to be better understood by Juan. Because Juan, for some reason, I feel like it's just the thing of this is a stranger to him still. That might be the reason for there not to be chemistry necessarily. Yeah. And I think Karla's approach is appropriate, really revealing more about herself and where she comes from in order to dig into that. But Dr. Pia was very helpful with what she talked about. One big topic that she brought up was that Juan hasn't actually met Karla's family yet. And the reasoning I couldn't quite wrap my head around, it was just that neither of them could see that happening until they were established. Pia asks why.
Yeah.
I forget the answer. But it just doesn't seem like all the other couples. They seem to have met everybody's parents and mostly gotten
right. But don't they live in Mexico or something? Because that's why they couldn't even come to the wedding. Or I forgot what the answer was, but I thought they didn't even live in the country.
Yeah, maybe.
But Juan's fine with it. It's funny. I feel like that happened last year with Michael and what's her name? I forgot her name. It was the weird guy who liked to wear the earrings. I mean, yeah, he was eccentric, and then not that wearing earrings makes you weird. We'll get to that with Thomas and Camille because that looked good. But anyway, yeah, I forgot the other girl's name, but anyway, it's kind of giving that to me. And also, they talk about, he just feels like he's not comfortable yet around her. And she's like, this doesn't feel like a romantic relationship. So it's that kind of like push and pull. So they talk about that they're going to keep doing the best. That all they can do is their best. So I don't really know what that means. I think they might just keep it the status quo, which is sad because I feel like they have a lot of potential. But Juan also says he's not attracted to her, which I was like, what? Like, she's so beautiful. I don't know why he's not. Why do you think he's not? Like, he needs the energy or?
He's high energy, and I think she is so much the opposite of him that I feel like he's not really, I don't know, I just feel like he's looking for a clone in that aspect, energy-wise.
Yeah.
And as much as she talks about like energy, like money is energy, energy is energy, all this, she actually is way more laid back, I think, than we've seen. Just, she seems a lot more chill.
Yeah.
And we dig into, so one of the prospects that Dr. Pia gives them to look forward to is just to think as a unit, because they do seem divided in that way, where for some reason they're maybe not getting to that depth. I don't know why he's not feeling that chemistry.
Yeah.
I feel like he's in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also he seems to work a lot. Not that that's an excuse, but like, I feel like I don't think he's leaving enough room in his head for her. Like,
definitely not.
Yeah. To build that chemistry. So Dr. Pia suggests, think as a unit, keep diving in, into deeper conversations and things like this. So, later, we come back to them. They're in the kitchen. They're talking. Juan asks a conversational question like, "Were you always a stylist? When did you start this?" So she was an entrepreneur from like right after high school. It seemed like it took her a couple months.
Yeah.
Like 9 months, something like that.
She went to cosmetology school and then graduated. Yeah.
Yeah. It also seemed like one of the key phrases, the operational word that came up was entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Because he kind of glowed with her talking about her goals and things like that.
Yeah.
So there was that aspect. And then he talks a little bit about himself. You hinted on that a little bit earlier, where he had a hard life in Colombia, like dodging the cartel and all this stuff. And then the family moved here and then there. He was involved in soccer. Somehow got into modeling. He did that till he was 26, and then that brought him to Chicago, I suppose.
Yeah. They end up talking about how the entrepreneurship, I guess, in common. Juan seems to be invested in the idea of her becoming an entrepreneur, and Karla says she's ready for that because he's like, this life, being an entrepreneur, it basically made it seem like, this is not like a normal life. So are you ready for it? And she is. So she says, I don't know. I guess I still don't think they're on the same page. I guess we see from Juan from his mouth like that is not what he wants. He doesn't seem like he wants Karla, but Karla seems like she's willing to make it work. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just keep giving us curveballs.
Yeah. All right. Next couple, Madison and Alan.
Yeah. Let's dive in. So they come back from the football situation. And that was an issue before for Madison because Alan had kind of abandoned her to go. She set it up. She like on the heels of his birthday, also, which she set up. And he was retaliating. He even used that word. He retaliated by just staying in.
Yeah.
Even though he was probably hungover, he still used, like he was cognizant of the fact that he could have showed up, but he chose not to.
Yeah.
And when they talked about it, because that's the first thing they did, when she came home from her, whatever she does, she's always out and about without him. So then they get to talking about it. And then he confesses like there was some retaliation and just staying back, just because I don't know exactly why he felt he needed to do that. Do you remember exactly what it was?
I think he was retaliating because it seemed like she didn't really care about him type of thing, because there was a misunderstanding where he thought that she left, and so he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna leave too. And
because at that celebration they were at a club or something and they both left separately, which and then that's what he retaliated from, because he wasn't feeling like they were connected at that point, which I feel like that, like, and also I think he was mature and like not talking about it in the moment when he was probably drunk, and saving that for later. I just feel like he could have done that differently. Yeah. But I'm glad they're talking about it.
That's good.
Because Madison also explains like that's a trigger for her. Like when there's that passive aggressive retaliation, that it doesn't really solve problems for her. And as a result, she's struggling from it. But she also, feels like she's trying. She's not feeling seen for those efforts. So we flash forward. They have some good conversation. I don't know exactly what they're referring to. They say that night they were trying to have a conversation. It went okay, and then they started to watch a movie, and then they say, "We'll see y'all in the morning." So that might have been on the same topic. Yeah,
I'm glad to see they were bonding. And then so the next day they go and they see Dr. Pia, and Madison says it's been interesting. Her biggest struggle is physical and romantic. I mean, what's new? Madison says she's working through the compatibility aspects of it. And then Alan's talking about how he kind of wants to get to kind of this sort of point where they just know each other. Like they can make eye contact and just be able to know each other's body language and things like that. She talks about how it's hard breaking habits from singleness and independence. Like she spends a lot of time like with her family or things like her friends or things like that. And I think it's been a pattern of that in her past relationships. And so Pia says, what can we do to prioritize Alan? And she says, what Madison says about what she can do to prioritize Alan is for Alan to give her compliments and to know that she looks beautiful, and not nice, because I guess he calls her nice sometimes, and that's something that she says that's something that that you would call your grandma. But I just thought it was funny. I mean, that's valid to like want to be complimented, but I just thought it was funny that was the response to how can you prioritize Alan more? Well, I can prioritize Alan more from Alan giving me compliments. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what she was framing it as, with what would it take for her to feel like she can then prioritize Alan? But that's still not what the question was. So Dr. Pia, she suggests them to work through that. Was to continue to work on like showing up in those intimacy moments. And so she gives them a game, which turns out to be a variation of Twister, but also comes with like questions that are about intimacy and things like this. So they do flash forward to that where they receive it. They give it a try after some wine. But what was funny too was Madison was like, "Or what, are you nervous?" So because he was pouring himself a glass of wine, I think she was projecting there, like she wasn't knowing, didn't really know what to expect. So what do you think? Think that actually helped the game?
It could. I think what she said, there was one question. We won't go over all the questions, but there was one question that I think it was talked about, like, have you ever had like, a thought like, or I don't even know if it was at the game, maybe it was with Pia, but I'm pretty sure they asked the question about like has she ever thought about Alan like intimately or something like that, and I think she said yes. So I was like, oh, I guess that's nice. And she was also willing to play the game. So, and they were, they were getting twisted on the Twister, because it was like a Twister plus like intimacy / sex questions. I don't know if it's going to help their relationship, but I mean, I think it'll maybe get them more comfortable. You didn't watch there's a season that was a couple seasons ago with this guy named Jacob and this girl named I don't even remember the girl's name. The Jacob, he was like super into 80s stuff, but they ended up, consummating their marriage, and then because she just wanted to try it. She wasn't really attracted to him, but she just wanted to try it. And then after that, she kind of got the major ick. But she was willing to try it. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be something like this. Maybe they might do something, but then it'll turn into that. Because not to say Alan's not a good guy. Alan's a great guy. I just don't feel like Madison is wanting him. I don't know. For right now, I'm not seeing that she wants to make an effort. I feel like she's nice presenting, like she does, things for him, like the birthday thing. I heard one reviewer talk about the fact that production was involved in that. I don't know about that, but
yeah, because they created that context for them to split up and talk to their friends. So with her setting it up, they did. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think that she was on the heels of production.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's something that she did on her own, but I guess we'll see.
You can still see she's trying.
Keep your head up, Alan.
Yeah. Something of concern though, still in the back of my head at least, is that the chemistry between her and David seems to be existent.
Yeah.
Whereas with Alan, it's not existent yet. But honestly though, from this game, you could see a little bit of a spark.
Yeah.
And I think the part to discern is like how much of that is the editing and the production,
right? Exactly.
Versus like the organic kind of conversation, like chemistry that comes from just a genuine connection. Mm-hmm. So before we dive into the others, we're gonna take a quick break.
All right.
And we'll be back.